Hello everyone, so we are here and we are going to start a session in just few minutes. So the session is with Fahd Khawaja. He is ex-CCO of Polymer and pretty much experienced in sales. He's having a decade, 2 decades of experience in sales basically. And today the entire session is all about how we can accelerate to become a high intensity sellers. So he will share the traits and I have a couple of questions with him. I'm just waiting for him to come. So we'll start. Assalamualaikum Fahad.
Ji, Assalamualaikum ji. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to see you after so
I'm
long.
good. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Likewise. So Fahad, I explained what we are going to do, what questions that we have, how this session will impact a lot of people, especially those who are coming from the journey of job and want to start their own business, and the people who are actually working as a sellers in their job as well as a normal people, how you can create an impact to this session and adding value as being a experienced seller, and you have been working for a pretty long time with Engro and you have immense experience in communication, people management, handling the anxiety of being in sales. So all of that, all the ingredients you're going to share with us. So over to you. I want you to explain about your experience, share what you've been doing and how you will impact us. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I'll just share a brief background about my professional experience. I have worked with Engro for the last 20 years. Most of my time was spent with fertilizers. I have worked in sales, distribution, supply chain, business development, global sourcing. I've handled a couple of businesses also, and then in the last couple of years in Agro Polymers, I have worked as the commercial head, looking after the overall business development, market development, sales, and how to grow the business. What are the certain verticals which are required to grow a certain business? And sales is one of the most important vertical of as far as business development is concerned. So I think let's open the floor, and if people have any questions, they can ask questions, or let's start with your questions also.
They can. So a short announcement. आप लोगों के जो भी questions होंगे, then and there we'll be answering. We'll be taking a question. We'll have your pointers. Also take a note sheet and one pen with you. So that'll be a cheat sheet for your progression. And let's get started. My very first question is how to identify the right person when you're hiring a person for sales?
I think that's a $1 million question. It's not only about identifying a person, whether that person has that knack for sales or not, but actually sales is a चीज है which is demonstrated on the job. How a person, the most important thing for somebody who has a knack for sales is a positive attitude. The attitude of making something happen, the attitude of achieving something, that is something which a person should have in her or himself. Because if you cannot have that attitude of I can do it, then obviously how, in my opinion, or whatever I have told different people throughout my life, that if you have that attitude that I can do it, 50% of the job is done. Because if you don't have that confidence in you, if you don't have that faith in you, you will not be able to do a certain job. So sales ke liye, it is very important that you have to have that confidence in you, and that confidence can come from what is your preparation. I mean, how much knowledge you have of the market, how much knowledge you have of your customers, how much knowledge you have of the industry in which you are operating, and how much prepared you are when you are approaching somebody. If you have not done your homework, obviously you will not be able to convince somebody who is sitting in front of you. If the person sitting in front of you knows more than you, then obviously you are gone. You have to know more than the person who is sitting in front of you, or I mean, for that matter, you have to know you have to know more than your customer, and obviously you have to be very open and fair and honest in whatever you are selling. You cannot sell anything to somebody by making false promises or by misguiding the customer. So, I mean, that is very important. The integrity of a person is very important as far as especially the salesperson is concerned, because everybody tries to sell their product by making false promises or by telling people that my product will do wonders for you, but you have to deliver that promise to give the customer a very delightful and a very a great experience. So I think that is very important, that the person should have to be honest in terms of what he is committing and what he is promising to deliver to the customer.
Great. So if I ask you, people usually whoever recently joined sales, they always have an anxiety going on before, picking up a call and, making very first call for their selling, because there are a lot of thoughts going on in our mind where we always think that nothing is going to happen until unless we are doing that. So how do you train people and your team to encounter that fear to taking at least a first step?
Just like I mentioned, a person before making a call or visiting somebody has to do his or her homework. The person has to, know if that is possible for somebody to do some sort of a research about the company or about the person with whom you are going to meet. That is very helpful, because you have to develop that connection with somebody. You don't have to just go and do a transaction. It is very important to develop a relationship with your customer. I mean, throughout my professional experience, one thing which I have learned, and one thing which our seniors have told us or taught us, is to develop a certain relationship with your customer. If it is only a transactional relationship, then it will fizzle out once the transaction is over. So you have to know the company, you have to know the person with whom you are going to meet. Maybe try to do some sort of a research about his background, and this type of information, so that the person should know that you know about him much more than selling him a certain product. So it is very important to develop that connection or develop that relationship with a person, and then comes your homework of what product you are going to sell that customer, how that product will benefit that person or that organization. So there are a lot of things which you need to develop, rather than going with a intention that I have to sell something and achieve my targets. So I mean, sales has become an art. It has always been art, because I've seen people selling things which nobody would have imagined buying. So that is mainly because you have to create the need of that product for the customer. So the research is very important. That's why we have market research, to know about the consumer behavior, the buying patterns, what the consumer likes, and how the preferences are changing with the change in the market scenario. So that is very important. You cannot sell a product which has been obsolete to a person who is is in a different world. So that is very important for a person who wants to go into sales. I mean, sales is only one part. You have to have that commercial acumen also. You have to put yourself in customers' shoes, That, if I was in his shoes, then how would I have reacted? So that is very important. You don't see one side of the coin. Put yourself in customers or the organization's shoes, and then think that way.
So, I want to touch this reality-based, check-in where in Pakistan, people know everything. Even the client knows everything. Even if you go to, sell your product, they'll like, okay, we know that thing. What is next? Because in sales, it's like taker is the one who has to give such an impression that, see, I'm here to give you the solution. I know how to build a relationship with you, but it's more about what I'm here to add in value within your organization. And there is an counterpart comes in from the client that, okay, we don't want this right now. We know why you are here, what you are selling is to us. So it's like a knowing, because knowing part is always counts on the both parties. How a seller can encounter this thing and being smart in that conversation.
Okay, that is something which we had discussed, that you have to know more than your customer. I mean, yes, you are right that people, I mean, now the world has changed. You sit on the internet and you find out each and every information about a certain product, but you need to develop that USP, the unique selling proposition of a product. What is the value proposition you are delivering to the customer? You cannot go out and sell. I mean, just to give you an example, we have a lot of new brands in the auto sector right now, but everything is being sold. People are buying cars. People are buying mobile phones, because every product has its unique feature. Every product has a set of features for a certain segment of the market. So that is what I mentioned, that you have to do the market research, that what is the product, what are the features of the product which I'm offering, and to which segment I am offering that product. You cannot go with a Mehran to a segment which buys Mercedes. So you have to define that segment of the market and then target your product accordingly, because you should know, if I have a product which has a value of 100 rupees, then you have to target that segment of the market which buys that product, or which has a buying power of spending 100 rupees for that product, and which also caters to the features of that particular product. For example, if I have to buy a product, and sometimes I might be able to pay a higher price if I'm getting those features in a certain product. But some people are brand conscious, some people are quality conscious. So you have to define the segment of the market and then penetrate into that market. So I mean, it's a very one has to do a detailed, develop a detailed sales strategy. It has to be followed. It has to be the sales strategy has to be followed. Or before that, you have to make a marketing strategy, segmentation strategy, channel strategy. So it has to go through the complete process before you go out and put your product on the shelf. So I mean, there is a whole process. I'm sure people are well aware of the process, but maybe I'm not sure how many people are following it. Maybe the big organizations are following that, the launch process, so they know how to. What is their go-to-market strategy, or what is their route-to-market strategy? So it becomes easier for us to take your product to a certain segment.
Yeah. So my next question is, in terms of the world has changed after COVID, how much does Pakistan need a tech-savvy sellers in current conventional market? Because now post-COVID, we were selling, just like I mentioned, we were giving, sales calling, telesales, emailing and stuff like that. But after COVID, it's like automation. It's an
yes, you are right that after or before COVID or during COVID, the e-commerce has really shot up in Pakistan, because people were not really focused. I mean, the reason why people were not focused on e-commerce was because of the reliability and trust of the companies which are into the e-commerce business. I mean, I myself will not order anything online because I don't have very good experiences with the companies who are operating here. But now the banks have come in, if they improve their services. So coming back to your point, the convenience is very important, which you are creating for the customer. Convenience, reliability, trust, and what value you are generating for the customer. So, I mean, the world has, gone from, I mean, we are very far, we are very way behind from, the tech companies or the e-commerce
Yeah.
segment, which is operating in the rest of the world. And that is mainly because of the promise they are delivering. I mean, you buy something from Amazon, you want to return it, there is a very convenient process of returning that. So in Pakistan, there is no system uh, for this. I mean, sometimes you order something, you get something else, and when you want to return that product, it creates a very uh, painful experience for you. So convenience, the first step is very important, which is the convenience, what convenience is generating you for the customer, what value you are delivering, at what price, and what is the experience you are creating for the customer. So I think Pakistan has embarked upon this e-commerce journey, and I think a lot uh, more and more companies are venturing into it. So people are getting used to, online grocery shopping, online shopping for other stuff. Banks have developed, a lot of people are doing their transactions. So a lot of people don't want to do online transactions because they are scared, because a lot of
Yeah.
mishaps have happened. So
Yeah.
if you have a certain uh, protection policy for the customer, then people will be, very comfortable in using or getting into the e-commerce side of the business. But if you don't protect the customer, then whether you are on e-commerce or whether you are doing that business through some other way, people will be very hesitant into venturing into that area. So you have to protect your customer. You have to protect the rights of your customers before you get into something. So I think that is a very important area. But I think more and more companies have come into e-commerce. A lot of like companies like Daraz, Food Panda, and all. I mean, now people, we have seen a lot of tech companies who are venturing into the agriculture side. They are
Yeah.
connecting the farmers with the free market. So that is a
Yeah.
very good initiative by those companies, because our farmers don't have access to the market, and now
Yeah.
they are being connected by these tech companies. So if it can generate value for the farmer, if the farmers can get premium for their products, so their income will increase, and that channel will definitely help them in getting to the right markets, and there will be no middlemen to manipulate them. So, I
True.
mean, yes, we have, I mean, in the last couple of years, we have really embarked on this e-commerce journey. And I think now people are getting used to uh, e-commerce. And I think in the next probably 3 to 5 years, we can see a lot of growth happening on the e-commerce side.
Because
But I think we
when
have to protect, we have to take care of certain things which I've mentioned. Otherwise, if you are doing what everybody else is doing, then obviously you will become a part of the system. So you have to
yeah.
give something to the customer which is of any value to them.
True. So, how do you see the branding? Because through social media, branding and marketing is one of the peak thing that I could see. That even if I'm selling something, I'm branding out myself. It's a self-branding thing. How do you share any experience according to having self-branding in corporate sector? Because whenever any seller going and joining any company, I think that I do believe in one thing, that even if I'm looking good, I communicate good, my client will eventually take an interest and eventually want to talk to me, because it's more of the equal parts. Knowing everything about more than the client, and being presentable in front of client too.
I think branding is very important based on what value you are delivering to the customer. I mean, a brand could be, uh, there can be a good brand, and then there can be a bad brand experience. And that is mainly because of the features or the value which a certain brand is delivering. And that again depends on what features are preferred by which segment. If your experience with a certain brand is not good, then it will create a negative brand perception. But if your experience is good with a certain brand, then it will create a positive brand experience. But that experience has to be consistent. It doesn't
Right.
have to be a inconsistent experience. Sometimes you deliver good value to the customer, and the next time you deliver a bad experience to the customer. So, if a certain brand, I mean, there are high tech products like mobile phones. There are auto sector. So they are, I mean, delivering a certain value to the customer. So that's why a certain brand is associated with certain product features. People know that Toyota Corolla is a sturdy car, so it has a certain segment which buys that product. I mean, Honda Civic has a different feature. It has a different shape. It delivers it it creates a different brand personality for a certain customer. They are more into the classy side of things. So that is something which you have to develop the brand personality of a certain product and then build upon those brand features to create a better experience for the customer.
I want to take this question more further. I want to know about the self branding of a seller. If a salesman having and knowing the art of self branding, I think that will make easier the entire process, to sell it fast and to get things done faster.
I
So
think that's
with,
very simple. I mean, when a product has a brand personality, the person himself or herself has a should have a brand personality. I mean, uh, what features or how people associate me or somebody else, and what qualities they see in me. Whether I am a reliable person, whether the promises which I am making with a customer, whether I am able to deliver on those promises, uh, the product which I am selling, whether it is reliable or not. So it automatically creates your brand personality. That how you are being seen. Are you being seen as a reliable person, dependable, delivering on your promise, consistent with your performance, or are people see you as unreliable, inconsistent, laid back, not very helpful, problem solver, strategic thinker? So you have to deliver something to create your brand. So if there is somebody who is a, I mean, great creative thinker, problem solver, has a very good business acumen, is very what you can say, has very good leadership abilities. So that is something which people associate you with, and maybe there are certain, and then there. I mean, that's the positive side of things, and then obviously you have certain areas which people think that you probably are not very good at. So that's how you create your brand personality with the person or with your customer. So I mean, you have to deliver certain, or it depends on your customer's experience. That's how he will define. For example, a lot of I've worked with a lot of customers like you, uh, relationship managers in banks. So how can people relate themselves, relate or trust that person with their money? So it is what experience you are creating for them, how much value they have delivered with your money, how much uh, what investments they suggested you, and what value you got from those investments. So if you are making money, then obviously that person will become reliable for you. But if you are losing money, then obviously you will say that that this person doesn't really know about anything. So it really depends on your experience and how that person will guide you.
So what are some smart goals for sales to target and to accelerate, to inject more revenue in one organization? What process and recipe would you use for your sales team if you have 20% or 20 people or 30 people in your team? How would you set smart goals for them? What could be any process for that?
I think the most important thing is to identify the opportunity. You have to be very analytical in terms of identifying that what opportunity exists in a certain market or in a certain area. Until and unless you don't know about that opportunity or you are not able to identify that opportunity, you will not be able to get into the market, increase your sales, guide your sales team that there is an opportunity out there, or your team has to identify that opportunity. Because for example, if you are selling, for example, soft drink, just to take an example, and you have not penetrated in a certain market and you don't know the potential of that market. First, you have to define the potential of a certain market and then get into that market and introduce your product. You cannot just go into the same market and try to increase your sales, because that will create a price war, that will create a war with your competition. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that is very important, that how that person is thinking, how that person is able to identify that selling opportunity in a certain market. So it is very important for the team to identify that opportunity, and for that it is very important to map the market, know the potential of the market. कि एक certain product जो है वो एक market में जो है वो कितना बिक सकता है, किस market
Yes.
में नहीं बिक रहा है, what are those markets where there is still an opportunity to sell, or maybe there is an opportunity or there is a gap which the customer or the vacuum which the competition has created. So that is the commercial acumen. That's where your commercial acumen comes in, to identify that business opportunity and then penetrate into that market. So I think that is that comes with experience, and that also comes with analytical thinking. A person has to be very sharp in numbers to identify. I
Yeah.
mean, sales is obviously is an art. You have to connect with the
Yeah.
person, what type of personality you have, but obviously you have to be good with numbers also
Yeah.
to identify a certain opportunity in the market. So yes, I mean it comes with experience, and people should know this when they are in college, when they are in university. So they should try to improve their numbers also, so that it can help them a lot when they will enter into the professional experience or professional job.
Yeah. So my next question is how time management signifies a seller to connect with his or her prospect.
I mean, timing is very important. If you are late, somebody else can go, your competition will come and sell the product. So you have to be very agile, you have to be very quick and smart in your thinking, whether you are going to meet a customer. Your timing has to be very important. Whether you are going to meet a customer or whether you are going to penetrate a certain market, you have to be very smart in terms of getting into a certain market. So, I mean, speed is very important.
Is the
How
game.
quick you are, how uh, smart you are, how agile you are. So that is very important.
So how do you invented and how did you use agile management in your projects, in your experience? Because agile is something new to this Pakistani market. We've been working with the international market, so we have been working with Scrum Masters and agile management, project management. How do you see that? How much that is so important for Pakistan right now?
I mean, the way things are moving and the markets are changing and consumer behaviors are changing. I mean, it is very important for companies to act very swiftly. Uh, they have to be very smart. The speed is very important. How quickly you get into the market and how you quickly penetrate into the market. I mean, the time has gone when the consumer will wait for you and wait for your product. If somebody else will give them a product which is fulfilling their needs, obviously you will lose out. So, I mean, with e-commerce in place, everything is online, everything is so quick. People are, if you look around, people are trying to deliver the product in half an hour. So that is the promise which the companies are delivering. So I mean, maybe there is somebody who probably come and say that we'll deliver in 10 minutes. So that's how the competition will be generated. So you have to, and then you have to know that what is the requirement of the customer. I mean, maybe I don't want a product in half an hour. Why do you want to deliver something in half an hour? So, but there are certain markets of certain other products where you have to reach to the customer before the competition does. So I think that's very important in today's world.
So my last question, then we'll move to the questions that we got from the audience. What traits you're looking for to create your high intensity selling team?
I think we have discussed the traits. I mean, starting from.
I want your traits in pointers so that it will be easier for.
I mean, a salesperson starting from is integrity and honesty. Your customer should rely on you. Your reliability has to be very important. The promises you are making with your customer, you have to deliver on those promises. The product features you are committing with your customers, you have to deliver on that. I mean, these are the certain things which you have to, which you need to generate a very good experience with the customer. If your customer is happy, that he only thinks about the promises which you have delivered with him. So you have to be reliable, honest, and deliver on your promise or the value which you are committing with the customer. I mean, there is, I would not say the list is very long. It has to be, the list has to be very short, but you have to deliver on those certain features which you are committing with your customer. And then there is homework which you have to do before you go out and reach out to your customer.
So, and my last question from my end to you is, why do you love sales?
I mean, sales is one part of the overall business management. I mean, if I look at the commercial strategy of an organization, I mean, sales is one of the key elements of reaching out to the customers. I mean, commercial strategy, I mean, sales is one form of reaching out to your customers. Sales is something which connects you with people, which basically connects you with people in knowing the consumer insights. I mean, if you are not able to know what the customer, what is the requirement of the customer. So, I mean, and then obviously at the end of the day, sales is the one which generates revenue for the organization. So, I mean, it is very important. And I mean, why I love sales, I mean, I never said I love sales, but obviously sales is, I'm more of a commercial and a strategy person. And obviously, you think about a certain plan, you develop a certain strategy, and then obviously you guide the sales team how to, execute that commercial strategy. So that's, I mean, one of the exciting pillars of your commercial strategy is exciting and important pillar of your commercial strategy is sales. So that's how you, I mean, almost 70-80% of your strategy is dependent on sales.
I love sales because I know I am good at people management. I can convey I'm very blunt and authentic about my own self. So it's always like giving your natural self to the people so that they could relate, and it gets easier for me to build a good relationship with the client. So that's how I love sales. Anyways, moving to the comments of our audience. One comment is, any comment on motivating the sales team? Over to you, Fahd.
The way I motivate my sales team is to, there are certain, there is no one thing which motivates the sales team. You have to take care of their career progression. You have to take care of their trainings, do their capacity building, empower them, and equip them with certain tools which will help them, go out in the market and handle their customers. So that is the career part of things which I've mentioned. But obviously, how you appreciate your sales team, how you reward your sales team is very important. So, I mean, it goes both ways. The sales team has to reciprocate in the same way also. You cannot expect rewards and recognition without delivering. So some people have a very high bar of performance, and some people are, happy with. So that's how you groom people. That's how you train people, by raising that bar slowly and motivating people and telling them about certain, or uh, giving them certain tools which can help them personally and professionally also. So that is very important to reward them through maybe career progression or certain custom employee incentive schemes, and promotion and career progression is one of them. But it is very important to train them, do their capacity building. So that's how they will help to handle their customer more and more.
Good. So second question is, sales को इतना degrade क्यों किया जाता है? मजाक उड़ाते हैं sales वालों का.
अब पता नहीं ये कौन लोग हैं जो कि मजाक उड़ाते हैं. अगर वो मजाक उड़ाते हैं तो they don't understand the importance of sales. उनको ये नहीं पता कि अगर सेल्स नहीं होगी तो कंपनी का रेवेन्यू भी नहीं जनरेट होगा. एक जो आप इंप्रेशन बिल्ड करती है सेल्स टीम में कस्टमर के सामने, एक रिलेशनशिप जो बिल्ड करती है, वो भी नहीं होगा. सो जिस तरह मैंने बताया कि सेल्स इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट pillar of your overall strategy. So whoever is not giving value to the sales or the sales team don't understand the importance of sales. So probably that person can himself or herself go out in the market and try to sell that product. So उसकी importance का अंदाजा तो तभी होगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. सेकेंडली जिनको पता नहीं होता सेल्स का, जो घबराते हैं उनको सेल्स पसंद भी नहीं होती, इसकी शायद मजाक उड़ाते हैं. बट इट ऑल डिपेंड्स how you portraying yourself in front of the client. If you're strong enough to communicate and put the things on their table, I think you need to have somehow brave to get your things done. Acha, who should join HR and who should go for sales? That's another question just came in.
That really depends on the personal preference of people. I mean, if somebody is good in HR, he can go to HR. If somebody is good in sales and has a certain personality for sales, that I mean, लोग वहाँ भी जा सकते हैं. I mean, ये
I think I'm sorry, but I think this goes over the perception and the personal interest of the people. I always wanted to get into sales. I always wanted to communicate and negotiate, and I always wanted to put my things that clients say, okay, fine, whatever you're saying, I'm gonna buy it. It's like this for me. I want them to buy it for me anyway. And if somebody says in my early times, like when I started my journey in sales, and I always say, whenever somebody rejects me, I always say, okay, I don't care, you're going to buy it or not, but I'm putting your name in my clientele list and you're going to be my client. And they always, okay, bhai, Maneza, fine. Send me a proposal, we're sending you the check. So that's how I get my sales done. So thank you so much, Fahad. What motivation and what message would you like to give to the startups, to the new sellers coming into the market? And what message would you like to give to them?
My only message to the startups is, I mean, there is a lot of opportunity in the business landscape in the market right now. But the most important thing for these new businesses, new startups, is that they have to deliver on their promises. They have to create an experience for the customer, not just launch their business. And because I see a lot of people complaining about a lot of issues which are happening with a lot of new startups. I mean, their
Yeah.
supply chain has to be uh, as good as what we see in the international brands. So, I mean, they just work on their supply chain, they just work on the convenience and the value which they can generate for the customers. And then obviously once they are ready, they can go out in the market and start delivering that value. Otherwise, if you are in the business and if you are not delivering what the customer, or you're creating a bad experience for a customer, then it will create a negative marketing for other startups also, because people generally it generally tend to have a spillover effect on other businesses also, because people know that if somebody is not working with the right uh, value chain, then everybody else, all the customers tend to think कि यार बाकी लोग भी इसी तरह काम कर रहे होंगे. So I think this is a great opportunity, and a lot of startups are there. A lot of new companies have come into the market. So in order to differentiate yourself, build your brand, you have to be different from the rest of the people which are there in the market.
Thank you so much, Fahad, for joining us. And I think we need to have some recurring sessions going on like this. So I'll be sharing the topics with you if you are available. Would like to have you again in different topics pertaining with sales and, of course, organizational growth. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sharing this live feed on my IGTV. You guys will be easier to get your pointers and your messages. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting. Take care.
Thank you, Jay. Love this.
Hafiz.